bubbling like Crisco. I need my pockets all swollen like a lymph node. Talking out the side of your neck, get you a slit throat. I stay broke, don't care if I got a million. Looking down on me, I put your brains on the ceiling. Fuck kicking down the door, we bout to demo the building. These fake cats all in these groups, I wonder who ya. Shoot ya off your pulpit, hallelujah. 4-pound gun youngin' down like it's a cougar. On my feet, combat boots, or is it Puma? Words spreading around about me, none of it rumor. All truth, very big facts. Very large caliber on very small gaps. Compact pistols, ladders, and all that. About to throw the switch in the Nina for rapid fire. Got the 5.7 equipped with the magnifier. Boom shakalaka equipped with the rim rocker. We ain't really got beef, yeah, Ramak would have been shot you. The best rhymer since Pac and Big Papa. Big llama, big juice, I'm Big Jamba. Quarter tank of gas, I ride like a big timer. No informer, no sweat, not inside of my conglomerate. Wreck like King Kong. No Asian pun me, no chink in armor. Remain calm through our pain that bring drama. Stay focused on things that bring karma. Took all pressure, applied and made diamonds. Stayed true, kept shit pure, my name honored. Paid all dues and debts and kept promise. Make sure you show respect, pay homage. That I'm one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I said I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I'm the hottest on the market, don't make me start it. I'ma pull up in a Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I remember days was trapping out the apartment. Now one West about put me up in a starship. About to fly the friendly skies in this bitch. Spit the truth on the corners, I lie a little bit. I'm a stand-up nigga, I die before I switch. Down, no we up, I'm cool with who I with. I'ma be war the king and stay dangerous. Hold down the biz and fam, remain blameless. Now rappers drippy with styles we made famous. First with studs and spikes in any city. Designing charge a stack for shit that can't fit me. Had friends on my coattail way before Jimmy. Funny how the general ain't even see a penny. Better show respect, get smoked like a chimney. Keep my name out your mouth, don't even think it. Send a real Smith at y'all, no Jada Pinkett. Both ball heads, my grain a $1.50. Off my man to the game, that pain that stuck with me. Had to find a cheat code to the street, though. Cause I'll shoot you like a free throw. Keep spitting acid like a Mino. And a nigga be the nicest with a mean flow. Try to ride my wave, you gon' need a speedboat. I'm hot like 100 degrees in a peacoat. Scarf in the sweater, I embark every letter. It's UPK, not a park, but together I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West when I start. One West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my
Hey, Shalom Israel, Shalom Lord in Christ. Yep, we're going to get started now. Okay, we're going to clap it up. We're going to clap it up again. I am Priest and Officer 50 Akashka in the Bahamas. ICPK. Okay, maybe we have an internet here. Okay, so let's get cranked up here. All right, like we normally do, we start with some encouraging words for you persons who need to eat food. That's everybody. Are you actually looking at growing a little bit of your own food? Just a little bit. Are you looking at it at all? You know, I'm encouraging you to at least consider, if you have a yard, to a small garden. Don't overwhelm yourself to a small garden. If you live in an apartment and you have a space, put a couple of pots. You live in a high rise, get a pot. Okay, do something. If you're living on the side where you get some sunlight, don't just go through life without getting your hand in the soil. You know, people that say dirt, um, the agriculturalists say the proper terminology that is actually, putting your hand in the soil. Get that feeling, grow that plant, get a tomato plant and grow it in a pot. And that's all you could do. If you have a yard, grow it in the yard. But get out there, feel the sun on your face and on your back, and hope you're not bleaching. You're gonna work good with the sun. Anyway, we're gonna go into some of the current events, what's happening in my neck of the woods. Of course, this is where I am. I'm in the Bahamas, so I'm gonna talk about that first. Then we look at some international things. We look at some international events. Okay, let me see. Make sure I'm pulling up the right current event because I'm seeing an old date on my current events. Let me see. So lucky for that. So I can get this open. And we're gonna get it on. But tonight I want to talk about. I was in contact with two persons today, and it's quite interesting. And we talked about Israelites. So I wanted to touch on the whole Israelite. How we are Israelites, and how can you understand the Israelite and how can you Shalom. We're gonna have a little bit of technical difficulty, but I think we may be back now. Hey, Shalom in there. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. I think I got it all resolved now, so just hang with me. Don't go anywhere. I got something I wanted to tell you, so please stay here. Don't leave. You see the commercial say if you leave a spider and crawl over your face in the night. It's a lot. Yeah, I really kidding, okay? Okay, and let's move on. Okay, let's get into see if we could get going now. See if we can start this up. Try this again. See if we can get it cranking. It's a little bit of technical difficulty. I think my internet may be acting where I am. So we get kicked off a little while ago. I'm back. Let's see if we can get it. We can continue pushing on. See if I could make sure we're working over here. Okay, so I did the little encouragement. And I think I got kind of mixed up trying to make sure my current events was right. Okay, let me read them. Maybe the date may just be wrong. So let me just check them out. So stay here. We're going to talk about if you are an Israelite in a minute. I just wanted to go through some of the information prior to some of the current events I want to talk about that happens in and around the Bahamas. Okay, I think we just had the wrong date, but we got the right one here. All right, so current events. Talk a little bit about that before we jump into our topic. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. Any questions about anything that's going on around you, put it in the chat. Okay? All right. Okay, we had traffic accidents in Grandma Freeport. Had traffic accident. And please be aware that these vehicles are even we getting a lot of Japanese, Korean, different small vehicles. They're really fast. They're really fast. But please be aware the roads are not engineered to do the speeds that we do in these vehicles a lot of times. And I don't know, I wouldn't say the speed was a factor in this case, but I happen to have passed the debris afterwards. And I'm just saying that you just need to drive with more due care and attention. Pay more attention, drive with more care. Don't just, like I said, the vehicles are very fast and you could lose your life. And this is what happened to a 26-year-old female, right? Your grandma lost her life. I mean, condolences go to them and to the family. But these are some of the things you are responsible for your own safety. You know, you get in a vehicle, you're going to have to try and protect yourself by, now, the seatbelt is not going to be the thing that saves you. The seatbelt should be the last thing you're supposed to use, all right? You're supposed to use the seatbelt as the last. The first thing you're supposed to use is whatever the road rules or laws are, you follow those. The speed limit, you do your best to stay within the speed limit. You drive with care and attention. You know, you drive sober. Hey, I know that's sometimes hard to do, right? Because you want to get a few drinks, then you want to drive. But just know, you move slower when you're intoxicated. You see people talk like that? That's what's happening, all right? They even react slower. That's why the fella could go in the club, he drink and he feel like he could. You just walk in the club, try to be in the club half a night. He already all drunk up and he think he could take you. He really think that. But guess what? You ain't had your first one yet, and you could run around him before you even recognize it. So you do move slow. And I don't know, I'm not saying that this was the factors that involve here. I'm just saying these are the kind of factors that assist when people have accidents, lose their lives. Okay. The next current event is unbelievable. The 91-year-old woman was sexually assaulted by a family member. Come on, man. What y'all be thinking about? A 91-year-old female was sexually assaulted. You know, if and when we become in charge of the rules and the governance, you wouldn't hear that twice. You wouldn't hear that twice. No. You hear that one time, and when you hear what happened to the person who did that, after they go through their trial, you wouldn't hear that nobody else can do that because they ain't want the same thing happen to them. Okay? So they ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna be doing stupidness like that. That's you know, I can't think of the word to say, but that's just unacceptable. Unacceptable. Oh, that is a great grandmother. Oh man. Anyway, now this next current event is really happening so often. I didn't say too often, but so often. Right? It's happening often in the Bahamas, in our waters. Okay, shark attacks. That's what the old American boy is recovering from after being attacked by sharks while swimming. Now, Samuel Key, and it is Samuel Key in the Exuma. The Exuma have some of the clearest waters in the Bahamas. I mean, all of the waters are clear, but those, they're even better. Let me tell you, because you get under that water and let's just say, even the water right here in Guam, you get under there, you could see so far. You almost could see as far as if he was out of the water, all right? But you could see, of course, the water hinders your sight, but the water's clear, and you could see. So you see, I don't know, a great distance under the water. Now, in the Exumas, you even get clearer waters. Yeah. But anyway, shark attacks. Now, I've been saying that these people I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm just saying people like to feed these animals. Right? They feed these animals, they feed these sharks, and sometimes the sharks come looking for food when these people are not giving them any food. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just saying. I know in the Bahamas they got this tourist thing where they go down feeding the sharks. And that's not gonna be me, bro. No. I remember when I was young, the first shark I saw, the shark was minding his own business. I still almost drowned myself trying to get away. Okay. And that was when he was shark. They call it a nut shark with the never any teeth. After I was enjoying this, looked like a shark and it was big, and I just almost died getting back to the boat. Okay, but I'm feeding those sharks, shark attack. I mean, it's nothing to take slightly, but something needs to be done. All right. Okay. The next current event, police are investigating a suspicious death after a body of an adult male was discovered in Yellow Elder area. Foul play is suspected. Right. So, of course, it's the capital. It's the capital, and of course we have those kind of things going on. Hey, Shalom, how are you? Shalom, you're right, Shalom, Shai Brakatah, huh? Good to see that. Yeah, so we had our current events talking about things that are happening in and around the Bahamas. Now, the capital is densely populated with Israelites in bondage, in oppression. And so you have these things going on. You have the ghettos. You have these people around. What they're doing is they are trying their best to live. Sometimes they have warring going on. They got fighting. They got things, illegal activity happening. They need to find their way out of that. And there's only one place where they're going to find refuge. It's in ISUPK. You're not going to learn how to live right. Stay here when I get into telling you, when we get into the topic, going to jump into the topic in a while, and to show you that you are an Israelite. And when you realize that you are, there's a great responsibility that you're going to have to understand. But before we get there, let's talk about some more current events that's happening right in my neck of the woods in the Bahamas. Things that's happening, All right. Do you believe this copper deal is still going around? Now, people are still stealing copper. Copper is a is a highly searched for, sought after commodity. So we've had all sorts of incident. We had people cutting live wires, getting electrocuted, stealing copper. All right, and that's still ongoing. We have people right now. They were arrested for having equipment that you could use to cut copper wire. They actually, so this stuff is still going on. And why is it going on? I'm trying to tell you that we are in our slavery. You know, you never look at it. You've never looked at it to realize what is happening. You are in, this is your race, right? You are who you are, but you never look at it to see. You never look at it from a wider perspective. You look at it from a micro perspective because you're in it, and you never step outside in your mind and say, well, why does it appear to be happening to this particular group? You don't look at it like that because you've grown up in it so long. What we are in is become second nature to us. Okay, and so this bondage, this slavery that we still find ourselves in, this way you can't listen to this. I say this often. At the end, after you were paid, can you put $200 in the month in the Salaki, $200 in the bank and leave it there? Can you do that? Most people put it there and have to go back and get it the next 2 days, right? But can you put it there and leave it there? Can you start building up? We are fueling the economy of where we are. We are the children of Israel, and we fueling our oppressors. That's what's happening. You may not see it, you may not understand it, but stick with us, stick with the truth, learn the scriptures, and you will be able to see it. You can have this. The Spirit of the Lord is going to enlighten you that you could see and understand things that you've never done before. You've never understood it, but you will. You just need to hang on. Allow the Spirit of the Lord to enlighten you. You can't do it on your own. You're not going to see it on your own. You have to submit yourself to the priest, and then you'll start seeing these things. And you start obeying the commandments. The more you start obeying the commandments, the more you see, the more you understand, the more you appreciate. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And then when you find yourself needing direction, find yourself in the ICPK. Okay? And we're going to give you all the direction you need. Another thing that happens, as a safety professional myself, they had an industrial accident here. Is it on the island? No, it's in one of the adjacent islands, on Marsh Harbor. Now, a person was performing work on the roof, and he fell through the roof to the floor. He injured himself, I think, so much that he had to get airlifted to the capital for treatment. Now, why is this happening? Current event saying, you know why it's happening? It's happening because people they have not been taught how they're supposed to protect themselves when working at heights. And it's not being enforced. It's not being audited. So you walk around and see somebody working on the roof. Nobody have the authority to tell the person, listen, you should not be on that roof and not have some kind of fall protection or fall prevention in place. You should have that if you're going to work on the roof. We've been having this thing too regular. People fall from the roof for different reasons. Okay, that's the current event. That you're injuring yourself, and I mean, for the rest of your life will be changed if you fall from the roof and you survive. Life is never the same anymore. So that's the current event that I want to go through. I got a couple of international events, and then we're going to get into our topic. But if there's any question, feel free to put it in the chat, or feel free to come off the mic and ask your question. I'll go into the international current events. We got a couple of them, and then we're going to jump into the topic. Like it. Okay, so Turks and Caicos government is giving out $500 apparently to each citizen in the Bahamas for I guess we have cost of living. We used to have, and I worked at one of the chemical companies. They gave us cost of living increase every so often. But I sarcastically say, UPK, we don't vote, right? We are we already selected Yahweh Shai to be our leader, and we just working to try and get him to come back as soon as possible. So we're not involved in the voting system. But as I listen to the candidates who was around in the Bahamas, now the Turks and Caicos say they're going to give the people $500 from the government. We had a party here with the saying, if we are allowed to win, we will be able to give you all $100,000 a year. We don't want that one. At least they don't want it because they didn't win. So $500, that's a drop in the bucket. We don't want that either. Okay. So whatever it is, from us with the ICPK, our intentions is we look at politics as some entertainment, and everybody's going to do the same thing. That's how we see it. That's how I see it, because I've been around long enough to see that that's the truth. Okay, that's the truth. Everybody come, they promise you stuff, and all they do is fill their own coffers, help their friends, and wherever they meet the state, the islands, the country, it remains that the same, and the only thing different is you get deeper in debt. All right. And again, if you didn't know you was in slavery, and you didn't know you're still in captivity, you need to start thinking about those things. Think what you could do, where you could go. Think what kind of resources you have available to you to do anything. If you think about it, you will see. Look at other nationalities. Not the Israelites. You have to find out who the Israelites first, because that's the group you're in, right? More than likely. Look at the other nationalities and see. They have less restrictions on them. You may not see it from where you are now, but I can tell you, when you clear your mind and start looking at it honestly, you will see that we are held back. And we're going to get into that in the topic, all right? So, the first one is mistakes and gigs, right? Now, Venezuela is going through a really rough time. Of course, we need to pray for the brothers over there, brothers and sisters. They had 2 earthquakes back to back. Normally, that's the way earthquake happens. They have massive earthquakes back to back. Normally, that's what happens. They have earthquakes and then they have tremors afterwards. So the place just get dislodged. And I think they're on. I'm not sure if where the tectonic plates lie, whether they're on 2 or whatever it is. But again, that's one of the things that causes earthquakes. And so we need to be mindful of that, pray for them, and whatever help we can. ICPK, we get together and we help our brothers and sisters wherever possible. So as those things go, we look forward to trying and assist. All right. Now, that's the next coming event. Just trying to do a little. All right. Now the peace deal. All right. Tensions are soaring again, right? So, Iran and stock U.S. Everybody is still up in arms, right? The strait seem to still be at odds. The war, rumors of war, all of these things are happening right now. I don't know if you understand the scriptures, but if you do, you know that no man know the time or the hour when Yahweh is going to send Yahweh Shai back to take over. But listen, you can't wait for it. It needs to happen now, because when it happens, everything changes. We wouldn't be destroying the earth as we are, because that's what's happening. The earth is being destroyed, right? The earth is being destroyed right this minute by the oppressor. Everything is being destroyed. And it's just for gain. It's just for gain. All right. Okay. Now, fourth current events, things that are happening that may affect even our international events affects the Bahamas. Believe it or not, we may be a small country, but we are affected by things that happen around the world. Right. The leader of the free world, of course, his code name is Agent Orange. Hope you know who that is. I try not to say his name as much as possible because, again, let me cut my little life. This little life on the Bahamas, a couple of people, a couple of subscribers, a couple of people watching my channel, build my channel, getting cut like a beach, So it's a lot, yeah. Let me try and I'm do the best I can, okay? But Trump, all right? Again, he's saying, so he still is trying to, we talk about him as a children playing in the sandbox. So, let's say all of the 4-year-olds playing in the sandbox. He comes as a 7-year-old. What happens? You know what happens? He bully all the little children in the sandbox. So Agent Orange, that's what he does. He comes with this military might behind him to try and scare people into do things. And so he pushing, and he's saying all sorts of stuff. Again, so tensions are high. The Iran tensions are high. The last one of our current events, which again does affect us, even though we're really, really far away from these places. Russia and Ukraine, still ongoing. They go back far enough, they're brothers. I guess everybody go back far enough is relative, right? But again, you should try your best to negotiate with brothers and not give them weapons to harm one another. And that's what they call proxy war. They used to do it in the Bahamas. They, with the little children, when you're small, they start a little fight, and somebody in the back, they push you, they egg you on to go. But now the way they egg one another on is give them more missiles and more bombs and more guns. That's how they do it these days. But anyway, that's the current events, things that affects the world, affects us locally. I want to talk about the Israelites. I've done this a few times before. And why am I doing it again now? Is because I came into contact with two persons just this very day. And we were talking about well, one was talking about salvation, talking about give God a chance and give Christianity a chance. I must do that. Christianity itself is not giving God a chance. So why would you tell me to give God a chance and give Christianity a chance? Christianity is not giving God a chance. You think about it. And I was one of the persons. The other person I came into contact with, they think they're Africans. They think that they descend from Africa. Now, the good thing is, this brother he know his generation. I think about 4 generations back. Most people don't do that. Most people can't do that. Most people can't tell you who their great grandfather is. He can. Okay, but his issue is he stopped right at the transatlantic slave trade. He stopped in slavery. Nobody taught him how his forefathers got into slavery. All he knows is they came from Africa, so they're Africans. Everybody who comes from Africa is not African. Okay? People who pass through Africa, they're not African. Who are you? Who are you? Do you know who you are? Do you know where you descend from? The beginning of your life. Okay, let's put it like this. Your children, how some of your DNA and whoever the female, your wife DNA, right? Now, so her children, they'll have some of your DNA, some of your wife DNA, some of whoever the husband is, that's your children now, or whoever. If your DNA continues to go down like that with the offspring that you produce, isn't it the same thing going in reverse? Isn't your DNA comes back down from somewhere else at the beginning? So my question to you is, where do you start? Okay, where did you start off at? Do you know where you start off at? Now this brother said he started off in Africa. Now Africa is about 54 countries. So which one of them, eh? I don't think he understands that. Africans don't even say they're from Africa. You know that? Africans don't even say they're from Africa. You know what the African will say? He is from Ghana. He'll tell you where he's from. He'll never say he's from Africa. And he'll say where in Africa he's from. Okay? He's from the Ivory Coast or whatever it is. They'll tell you where they're from. Only people here will say they're from Africa. You know why? Because they're ignorant. But let me tell you, and this even before I get into the scripture, but let me tell you, if you're in this part of the world, you're black, you're Indian, and or Hispanic, you are more than likely, right? You are more than likely. You probably went through the transatlantic slave trade or some other way you get here. But normally, if it's the transatlantic slave trade, you are so close, you are so much an Israelite that the chances are so low that you're not. But there's a chance that you're not because some Africans came over during the transatlantic slave trade. So we're not saying 100% of people over here who have dark skin, okay, are Israelites. Let me give you a little bit of knowledge. We know that everybody come from Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Oh, I didn't bring my Zondervan Bible dictionary. So lucky for that. Because in the dictionary it says clearly that Ham was the progenitor of the black race, but not the Negro. Okay, and I'm paraphrasing that from the dictionary. The thing is, all of the black races, and they named them, they named the black races, but not the Negro. Where does the Negro come from? The Negro come from Shem. And if you go back to the scriptures, you could find this. So lucky for that, but if you want, you could reach out and we could actually dive into that some more. Now, the thing is, if there are more than two set of dark skinned people, because all of the Hamitic tribes are dark skinned. Some of the Shemitic tribes are dark skinned. Right? I mean, you have some of them are dark skinned. The Japhetics, they even have dark skin too. Right? But unless you understand all this, you'll believe every dark skinned person come from Africa. No. Think about this, right? Ham is a dark skin. Shem, the Shemitic, the Negroes, come from Shem. Now, how did we get where we are? Before we talk about how we get where we are, let's see how I can help you identify who you are. Let's see if we can dive a little bit into the scriptures. And we try to keep our time precise, concise, not to keep you all night, and to let you think about studying too. So we're going to be here for the next 20 or so minutes and maybe run over a little bit. Maybe if we do, please stick with us. It'll be a benefit. Okay, so what we're going to look at is important. Nobody let me correct that. Most people do not want to go back and see where they come from. They believe that everything that happened yesterday have nothing to do with today. That's a lot of the thoughts that people have. They think that whatever happened yesterday have nothing. I mean, when I say yesterday, in the past, but it have everything to do with today. Someone said if you don't learn your past, you destined to repeat it. And that's the negative things. But you also need to understand the responsibility with what happened in the past and the things you need to do, what you were supposed to do and didn't do, and now you need to correct yourself. That's also something that needs to be done. Okay. So, the Israelites, you have to get in class to really find out if you are an Israelite, but I want to give you some information to help you to think about that. All right. And the Bible is our historical record. Yes, it was taken away from us. Yes, it was given back to us in a different form. Yes, it was torn up during the slave days where you wasn't allowed to read the whole Bible. It was only given in part that you could do some things, and they even had someone overseeing when somebody was preaching the things that they said and how they incite people. All of this stuff is true. These are the things that happened in the past that caused you to be who you are today. Do not believe that you are not a product of your past. Not only your past, you are a product of the past of your ancestors. Let me give you an aside for a minute. The cherry blossom experiment. Google that. You Google the cherry blossom experiment. Let me just quickly say a couple of things on it because I don't want to hang on it too long. But it shows how generations could learn, could be influenced by things they did not see directly. Okay, the cherry blossom experiment is this. They took, rats. It is rats and pigs. I think it's rats and pigs are close to humans. Rats and monkeys are closest to humans, right? So now rats multiply much quicker than monkeys and humans. So when you want to do generational studies, they use rats because the rat lifespan, the rat can have great grandparents or something in a couple of months or so. So you could see the action on them over generations just by using them, letting them go through their cycle, monitoring them, and see how they react. So the cherry blossom experiment is this. They took rats. They had a cherry blossom. It was the scent that the rats like. I think they eat it or something, but they like it. But what they did, the cherry blossom experiment is this. They put a small electrical shocking device around the whole cherry blossom tree. So what happened is every time the mice or the rat go toward the tree, the cherry blossom, they would get this shock. It wouldn't kill them, just enough to cause them not to go there. Okay? Not to go there. Every time they advance, they get this shock. And over time, they learned through the same shock procedure not to go to that tree. Now, check this out. The thing is, this is how over generations you could experience the same thing but never have experienced it yourself. What they did to show that this go from generation to generations, they take that rat, made it with another rat, which was not a part of the experiment. All right, not a part of the experiment. And when the offspring was born, the offspring still did not go to the cherry blossom tree. All right, did not go to the cherry blossom tree. So even though the device was removed, they remembered somehow it was passed down through their genes that was off limits. So if I'm correct, it took them somewhere between 5 and 7 generations of the rats who had to be mating with rats that never knew about it for them to be able to go to what? That's a cherry blossom tree. This is an experiment that shows that even though you were not involved with what happened, you are influenced by it. Okay? You're influenced by it. So whatever happens in your life, you have to understand that's a part of you. So you're not your own when you become self-aware, you're not your own. You become self-aware, you connected to everybody that was before you. That's how it is. Believe it or not. The cherry blossom experiments also help you to understand the trauma that can be transferred from one to the next. It shows the connection. Okay, so I want to talk to you. I want to try and help to convince you who you are. Now, we're going to go back to the scriptures. We're going to jump into the scriptures, I should say. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 27 and verse 1. We're going to start there. In this, what is happening here is Moses has we already have the red, we have all of the Egyptian bondage, the Egyptian, the children of the Lord cry out, and Moses, the deliverer, was sent to deliver them. Now they're out, right? But bear in mind, who was in bondage? The children of Israel. They was in bondage. Who went after they cried? The Lord sent a deliverer to deliver them out of bondage. Who was Moses? So when Moses got them out of bondage, check this out. They're out of bondage. All right, done past the Red Sea and all that in the desert. And Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, keep Shalakia. And Moses with all the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, keep all the commandments which I commanded you this day. And it shall be on the day and it shall be on the day when ye shall pass over the Jordan unto the land which the Lord thy God give thee. So what he's saying is in this one, right? He's commanding them to keep the commandments. Simple. Now the commandment was given to the children of Israel. It was given to the children of Israel. The Lord gave it to Moses to bring down to them. Now I had some funny business about that. Listen, it's ludicrous to think that let me tell you, if you could try to study on your own without a priest, you can end up in some deep, dark holes which you're not going to be able to get out. Find ISUPK, get under a priest, get under commanding general Yohana, and you will learn the scriptures properly. Other than that, you can be doing all kind of gymnastics in your mind. You're going to be doing trying to figure out this thing, right? So we're saying as they came out, Moses said that, follow the commandments. In Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1, we're going to that. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I commanded thee this day, and the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. At that time, 18 different nations and nationality was around. You probably never know that. You probably only thought there was one. But there was 18 around at that time. And so he was just speaking to one. That's why you could tell him you'll be above all the nations of the earth. If it was only one nation of the earth, why he wouldn't even tell you you'll be above all the nations of the earth? He'll just tell you, okay, you're straight. You just do what I tell you and you're straight. You'll be above all the nations of the earth. Now, who was he talking to? He was talking to people who came out of Egypt. None of the other 17 nations was he talking to. Come on, stop believing that stupidness. All right? Now, I'm saying this is what he said in the desert. Follow the commandments, right? I want to show you that the blacks, the natives, and the Indians, they are the Israelites. And if you are in the Bahamas, more than likely, there's a great chance. If you are a Negro, that you'd remember I said Africans came out, and if you're in the Bahamas, you could even be an Edomite because we got the influence from England, and you could be dark skinned and still be an Edomite. Okay, so don't get all excited yet. You might still be an oppressor, but if you are an Israelite, there's a great responsibility that you are overlooking. I'm telling you. If you don't know that you're an Israelite, you're overlooking your responsibility. If you were caught up in the Christian church, in the Christian snag, you've not been taught properly. I'm telling you, yes, I can take, I go in right there. You've not been taught properly. Because this scripture is given for Israelites by Israelites. Nobody of the writers of this scripture is not connected to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You find somebody and you tell me. The promises come down that line. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Nobody else. Even so, these other offshoots have their own gods, have their own documents. Why would you force, and this is what we do, we try to force these things on other people who don't even want it. And that means our people don't want it either because they again, we yet caught up in our bondage and in our sin and we're not even checking. All right? But I want to tell you, if you're black in this Bahamas, the chances are you're an Israelite. But nobody taught you that. So you don't know it. You think you're a Christian. But I want to say this to you. You might act as a Christian now, but you know what happened? That spirit in you, that's the spirit of the Lord in you. You just need to find the home base where that spirit comes from. That spirit is not that don't resonate because you're in the church. That is in you. The Most High put that spirit in you. The church come alive when you reach. The church is dead when you're not there. But you've not been taught. So what you do, you carry a spirit among all of the heathens. You don't bring your spirit among the brothers to strengthen the brothers. So you actually cause everybody else to be weaker because The scriptures say, gather yourself together. I want to tell you, you are an Israelite. You need to find that. You need to seek that out. You need to check that out. You are an Israelite. And if you're not, tell me who you are. that's where the thing come in. If you're not an Israelite, and let me digress for a next minute or two. You could ask a Chinaman, where is he from? You know what he can tell you? He can tell you where he's from. You can ask him who was his granddaddy, great dad. You could ask him them generations. He will probably be able to list off 10 to 20 generations back. The Englishman, likewise, right? The East Indian, likewise. But anybody of the 12 tribes, you know what they're going to say? You think about it yourself. How much generations of your fathers do you know? You think about it. Why you have to be the one who don't know where you come from? Because you don't. Why you have to be that one? Nobody even teaching you why you like that. And when we tell you, you get pissed off at us. It's like, yeah. All right, you get mad with us when we tell you. You don't want to hear it. You get mad with us. But the thing is, you're an Israelite. You have to find and understand what your purpose is. The Most High have a purpose for you. There's some things you need to understand in life to help. You have brothers and sisters here who need your help. The scriptures say, gather yourself together. And the only way you can do this, you first identify who is your brothers and your sisters. Find your way into the ISUPK and start to learn. Wash your brain. Wash it, actually clean it up. Because in Christianity, you've been indoctrinated. You're not doing the things that the Most High tell you to do, right? So let's go a little further in talking about who you are. How can you identify yourself as an Israelite? I identify myself as an Israelite because through spiritual contact and through education. Now I've been a reverend in the church now for many years, so I'm not sure of the understanding the stories. But as the Apostle Paul, I count it all down for the excellency of Christ, because coming to know Yahweh Shai has been a great experience for me. I've learned a lot, and to come to know Yahweh, I've learned a lot to recognize and to know that Yahweh Shai is going to come back. One of the identifying markers is this. You heard me say that you'll be above all the nations on the earth. But there's also a warning in this. And if you didn't know how to identify who you are, check this out. I'll read a few of these things and you should start being able to see yourself in it. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, and to observe and do all his commandments which he has, and statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. Now, if you notice, I read one and then jumped to 15. Why did I do that? This is why I did that. Because from 1 to 14 is all blessings. Okay? It's all blessings. 15 start to come in and tell you about the curses. And because we didn't do what the Lord had told us to do, our forefathers, so we seem to fall. This is how you can identify if you are an Israelite too. These curses shall come upon you and overtake you. And that's what it has done to us. Wherever you are in the world, if you're one of the 12 tribes, you can identify with this. All right? Okay, so I'll read a couple of the curses and then I'll jump down to the end. I'm trying to convince you for you to at least look at it. Consider yourself, hey, I might just be an Israelite. But on the other hand, if you're an Israelite, who are those people in? That's another thing, right? If you're an Israelite, who are those people in Israel? Just remember, those people never told you that they were Israelites. Bang. You never talk about that, hey? They never said that they were Israelites. You know what they say? We are like the Jews. Why you say that? Akashka, Officer 50. Why did you say that? we are like the Jews. You know why they say that? They say because we are Jewish. That's what it means, Jewish. And guess what? Even the Jewish thing, um, yes, sometimes the Israelites was referred to as Jews collectively, right? Sometimes even the Southern Kingdom was referred to as Jews collectively. But you know where the Jews come from? The naming as Jews, they come from Judah, right? So to be proper, you would say that you are an Israelite, unless you're speaking colloquially, right? You say that you are an Israelite. And so what I'm saying is these curses are going to be on all the Israelites, wherever they find themselves. Curse shall thou be in the city, and curse shall thou be in the field. Deuteronomy chapter 27 and verse 16. So what I was saying earlier, you can't have put aside some money and leave it there. You know why? Because this system designed to take every penny you out. That's how it is designed. It's designed. You know, when I was younger, I said, man, the people must see no one that gets some money because a bill come. But the truth is, that bill been coming, you just ain't had the money to pay it. So when you get the money, you say, oh, they must see me get this money. No, that bill is hanging over your head. And you just get the money to pay it. All right? So curse, that's a curse. That's a curse. Curse shall be thy basket and thy store. Curse. Whether you have money in your storeroom or whatever, you're cursed. There's a curse associated with that. Curse should be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land and the increase of thy kind and thy flock and thy sheep. And so these are curses that we suffer. As a farmer, I can understand those curses, right? Especially when it comes to the livestock and problematic. Okay, yes. Curse shall thou be when I comest in, and curse shall thou be when I goes out. Again, curses. These are the punishments, basically. The curses. See what you have to do. You have to look at the different sets of people and compare them one to another. Compare what you see is happening in one demographic and the other demographic. Check one set of people against the other set of people. Are they experiencing the same thing? Like I see one mic open up.
Yes, Salakia, sir. Before you go any further, I am looking at Psalms 122. You said the people who are in Israel now are not the real
Israelites.
Okay, so when we are admonished then to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, who are we praying for? That's Psalms 122 and verse 6 that says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee. So what are we praying? Who or what are we praying for?
Let me go to that. Psalms
122
and
verse 6.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me read. I said 6 is still close. Let me read from the first verse. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 122, and starting from the first verse. A psalm of David. A song of the grief of David. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet shall stand within thy gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compassed together. Whether the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, unto the testimony of Israel, to go to give thanks unto the name of the Lord, for there are set thrones of judgment, the throne of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee. Okay, this of course, we know that this is talking about the early stages. This is talking about those times in the past. That's the King David and those periods, not now. This is talking about when the temple and when the city was established. So this would have been talking about back then, not now. I was talking about when the Israelites was in Jerusalem. And and you see it says it talk about going up to the house, right? In verse 5. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. So this is talking about, David had a house and Solomon built the temple. So this is what this is referring to in those times, not the times when the Israelites were all scattered and the impostors went and now. Well, let me be careful what I say. When others went and acquired the place and took it over like their own. It's not talking about that, because if you know, in Deuteronomy it says that we'll see it no more. Okay, we are not going to see it anymore like that. When we see it now, it'll be the return of Yahushai when we get back in our city. Right now, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. That's what's happening. I hope I answered your question.
Water.
Okay, so we jump to Deuteronomy again, 28. I think we'll move. Okay, so we were talking about the curses, right? The curses, they affect you. And I'm not gonna have the time to go through all of the curses. I didn't plan to, but this is something that you could look at yourself. If you should be interested. Not that if you are, you must be interested in where you came from. You didn't just drop out of the sky. Who it was? Somebody just dropped out of the sky. I think Topsy, what you say when we were younger. It's a lot here. But anyway, you just didn't drop out of the sky. You got a whole history behind you. You have responsibilities also to make sure that you know who you are, and you go and gather yourself together with your brothers and your sisters and be a help to them. This is even Christ say, right? This is what Christ said. He came not but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and he sent his disciples out to find us. Remember? See, nobody taught you that. When you was reading the scriptures, you always was oblivious to the reality of what's going on. Nobody really drilled down into you that said, listen, Christ came for his own was this set of people and only them. No, it was never accepted and understood like that. All right? So, hold on for me a minute. Somebody was knocking on the door. Somebody ringing the bell. Okay, so yes, we need to understand, because the responsibility is great. Christ sent them out 2 by 2. Christ sent them out to find the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We were dispersed. You see, nobody taught us that, but we were dispersed into all the nations of the earth. So now we have to go through and we got to find our brothers and sisters mixed up among everybody else. and reach out to them. And the thing is, our brothers and sisters have been in the position they've been in so long, they don't even see the need. They don't understand that they're lost. You know, Harriet Tubman says she could free more people if they knew they were slaves. So we could pull more people out of Christianity if they know they were Israelites. But they don't know. Harriet Tubman, she knows she was an Israelite. That's why they call her Little Moses. Remember that? That's what the nickname. Her nickname is Little Moses. That's why when they found her, they was looking for a man, but they didn't realize it was a woman. What they calling it's lucky. But anyway, so these curses are going to follow us. We have a great responsibility, and I'll be remiss if I close out without going to this last verse in Deuteronomy chapter 28. You know, coming out of Christianity, Deuteronomy 28 became my favorite book in the Bible. The favorite. I just because when I hear all of the nice things that are going on, and then realize that listen, this is who we are. The lack here. Okay, this is who we are. So I'm gonna go to what I'm gonna do first is stop this phone from ringing if it does it again. And then you go to and we may have to come back into this book again. We may have to clear up something for you. But I want to go to the last verse in Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right? And I'm going to explain it, and then we're going to close up. Okay, so this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. Yeah, how far I went down? So all of those in between where I started in the 17 and 18, all the way down to 68. You have to read all of them if you haven't. Okay, so and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Bang. What the heck does that mean? Think about this. Our forefathers went into Egypt, right? Our forefathers went into Egypt. Our forefathers walk into Egypt the first time. Think about this. Think about this for a second. Remember, if you don't remember, during the days of famine, Joseph was in Egypt because his brothers sold him into Egypt, into slavery. Joseph became the second most powerful man in Egypt. So when the famine was on, the sons came over to Egypt to get food and grain, right? Remember, we went through this, I think, on the last couple of lives. We talked about this a little bit. So what happened was when Joseph started to notice that it was his brothers, he put some things on them and made them brought their father over there. And when they found that, and when they gone through all this stuff with finding Benjamin and everybody was okay. And so Israel, that's Jacob and all of the other children walked into Egypt. Remember that story? They walk into Egypt. Now, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ship. What in the devil that mean? You know what it means? When we look at this word Egypt, we see bondage. So what we understand this to mean, the Lord can bring you into bondage with ship. Bang. What that mean? Let me read on. You can get it. If you understand that, then you'll understand this. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. What I say? You live in that place and you're never going to see it again. Our forefathers left that place by ships. The brother who say he know his people come from Africa, yeah. They was put on the ship from Africa, but they migrated all the way down from Israel and ended down on the west coast of Africa. And when the Africans made this deal with the Caucasians or the Anglo-Saxons or the Edomites who was looking for slaves to buy, they had them all. They went, capture you, put you down in the place. When they dug the ships, they didn't go into the interior and find you, you know. They didn't go into the interior Africa to find the slaves. They already had the deal with the Africans to sell the slaves. So when they pull up with the boats, what they made to carry human cargo, they didn't accidentally pass up on the side of Africa and say, hey, we got these people to buy. No. They went there with the intentions to fill in these boats with, you Googled slave ship. I did it the last time. I'm not going to do it now. You Google slave ship and see they didn't build them to carry slaves. So when they went back to Africa and they put the slave, they just pull up on the dock and they board the slaves. And who that was? Our forefathers. Why? Because the Africans were selling other people who were dark skinned who migrated down into the area, which was the Israelites. History will show you that. You can see the pattern of the history as the Israelites came down through Africa. You will see how they had ruins when they traced them all the way down. Then they get all the way down to the southern part, the west part of Africa, where they were captured and then sold, and then became into bondage by ships. And wherefore they never saw that again. Right? Now, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies. This I'm still reading Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. There you shall be sold unto your enemies. And so what happened when you get over on this side of the 3 months journey? If you survived it and you didn't die, they didn't show you in the water to feed the sharks. If you made it over, you get sold unto the enemy. Who's the enemy? The enemy is the one who will pick you up from Africa to bring you to the West. Right? To bring you to the West. That's what you get. So you get the Europeans, which they brought you over, and you were sold for bondmen and bondwomen. You know, you're seeing the slave blocks. You watch Roots. You watch other historical reenactment of the actual slave trade or the things that happened in America. Or now I see that it's not a whole lot about happening in England, because they abolished their slave trade, even though they was the one who started. They abolished theirs first before the Americans. I think the Americans must take 100 years or something, some long period of time after the Europeans, at least England, abolished theirs. I'd have to Google that, but I'm just paraphrasing. If you need that information, you can Google it and find it. But what happens is, when they got over here, when our forefathers came over here, they were sold for bondmen and bondwomen. And no man, it say at the end of this verse, at the end of 68, the last sentence after the comma, and no man shall buy you. Now, think of this. It didn't mean when you go on an auction block, nobody can buy you. What it actually means is, in terms like this, if you have an expensive watch, you need some money, you can't afford, you take it to the pawn shop. And you tell the fella, listen, I need $1,000 for this watch. He said, no problem. You could have $1,000 for this watch. But if you don't come back for it by the first of the month, the watch is mine and I can sell it. That's what you're talking about when you talk about buy. Nobody went and tried to get the slaves back. Nobody did. Because the truth is, the slaves wasn't even African. Now, reality is, and the truth be told, some of the slaves, because African tribes fought African tribes. So when they were shot on human cargo, which was the Israelite, whoever African tribe is fighting and they lose, they might sell them. But mainly, who was sold? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Why were those three tribes sold? Because the other tribes were already dispersed by the Lord because of sin a long time ago. So they were already scattered elsewhere. You see? But during the time when Christ was around, those are the three main tribes, the 2.5 tribes that were still there. That's all it is. Okay, so I don't know if there's any questions, but if there's no questions, we're going to clip it right there for the night and for this class. Okay, so I hope you get something out of this. And like I said, please feel free to contact me on the slide, and let's continue to talk about this. Let's continue to build this nation. Consider who you are, how much your responsibilities is for the Lord, because there is a big responsibility you have. You just didn't drop of the sky like Topsy. All right. You got some work to do. You've not been doing it. You don't know who you are, so you don't know what to do. But listen, now that I tell you at the beginning, you have to start now. You have to start to see who you are at this point. When you were still ignorant, it was okay. But you can't be ignorant no more after the day. All right? So with that being said, and no questions came up, these are the security announcements. We at ISCPK started at 1 West 125th Street under Commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limit for 6 months. They're here to shed themselves. This to be saluted only, Salakia. They're here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has a particular interest, and if the brother or sister have an interest in a particular person, they must get you must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. Right? There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can see this in Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. It means tenth in the Hebrew and is pronounced by Aishur. 10% of every penny of any increase to the Lord give you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests is not mandatory. Remind Akim and Ahmadin to check the social media for isupk.com and isupk.org for events and material. If a brother wants to be a troop in the school, he should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirt, black pants, black headband or scarf. And with that, well, we normally, if we don't have a class in class, we will just close off by saying to the men, we say, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah. To the men, when they see this live, and to the sister, we say, Yahweh Shema Alatam Bahashem, Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shema Alatam Bahashem, Yahweh Shai.
And Shalom, sis.
Shalom.
With that, class dismissed.